Hey, I'm Circle Strafe, and welcome to part 4 of my Dante's Inferno rundown. In the last episode, we went through circles 4 and 5, Greed and Wrath. In this episode, we're going to finish up circle 5, at the Gates of Dis, and cover circle 6, the Heretics. In the last few episodes, we've talked about Dante's allegorical motivations, and we've also talked a bit about Dante's muse for his work and his inclusion of the ancient poet, Virgil. At the start of this part 4, we're going to summarise Dante the man, who he was, and how this influenced his work. First of all, it's worth pointing out that Dante had a wife and 4 children. Throughout the Inferno, and especially when going into his Paradiso work, Dante spends a lot of time talking about a woman named Beatrice. We'll start seeing Beatrice crop up fairly soon. Beatrice is Dante's visage of perfection, and he places her on the highest pedestal. Dante actually grew up with a woman named Beatrice from the age of 9, and she died quite young. He got betrothed to his actual wife, Gemma Donati, at the age of 12. Beatrice's position centre stage in Dante's work is quite the insult to his wife. Next up, Dante was a notoriously honest man, almost to his own detriment. He thoroughly believed that his dream of hell actually happened, and spends a lot of time in the Inferno pleading with the reader to trust him. He wants the readers to truly believe that his words are nothing but factual. As an example of his almost stupid honesty, on one occasion he was accosted by guards. He was in exile at the time and disguised as another man. One of the guards asked if he had seen Dante pass by on the road, to which Dante replied, "As I walked on the road, Dante did not pass me." It's reputed that Dante had an unbelievably good memory. This reputation the poet had for having amazing recollective abilities probably came in quite handy, especially if he was ever questioned on how he could picture all of the afterlife from a dream with such clarity. One story goes that a passerby tried to test Dante's memory by asking him what he ate for breakfast. Dante replied eggs. A year later, the same man approached Dante in the same place and then simply asked, "How?" To which Dante quickly replied, "With salt." Finally, before we continue on, and seemingly quite randomly to bring up, Dante's lucky number was 3. Surprisingly, this pertains to his overall work quite a lot. First of all, and most obviously, his comedy is split into 3 parts, Inferno, Purgatorio, and Paradiso. Each of these parts is made of 33 cantos or segments. One is then added to the end to create 100, or Dante's perfect number. There are 3 rivers in Dante's vision of hell. He describes 3 classes of sin in the Inferno. The metaphor continues into Purgatorio and Paradiso, when you include things like the Holy Trinity. In Dante's work, very little is without meaning. Upon reaching the city gates, the poets find 1,000 angry sinners barring entry to the inner walls. Virgil takes the group aside and talks to them in private. It helps that Dante is so terrified that he can barely hear what they're saying anyway. A few moments go by when suddenly the sinners say,
"You may pass, weary soul, from limbo, but only you."
The sinners open the gate and offer Virgil entry. They look over to Dante, and one of them scornfully says,
"Go back home. The living are not welcome to pass here."
Dante starts speaking to his readers directly about how mortified he feels towards heading back alone. He shouts and begs Virgil to return with him. Virgil turns to Dante in reply, and tells the frightened poet that he will take care of the problem that is in front of them. Virgil approaches the gate to scold the sinners, and they react by slamming the gate in his face. This is the first occasion in which Virgil has been indicated to have failed in some degree. Virgil is furious, but he turns to Dante again and gestures at him not to worry. When Christ harrowed hell, the sinners refused him entry into the city. Then as now, a messenger of heaven will help gain his entry. Virgil tries to console Dante, but the ancient poet is so angry and unnerved that his words stutter as he speaks. Dante reacts by becoming more on edge than he's ever been, noticing a distinct lapse in confidence from his formerly self-assured guide. Dante asks Virgil if anyone from Limbo has ever been this far into hell before. He's basically asking Virgil if he knows what he's doing. Virgil states in reply that he himself has actually travelled to the deepest levels of the Inferno. Virgil is showing to Dante that he has complete and extensive knowledge of hell. Dante spots 3 snake-haired women hanging from the rafters of the city walls. Virgil disgustedly identifies them as the Furies. He names them as Megara, Alecto, and Tisiphone. The 3 of them point their claws at Dante and cry at him.
Medusa's coming to turn you to stone.
Virgil tells Dante to avert his eyes and moves to cover Dante's face with his hands to protect him from Medusa. After all, if Dante is turned to stone, he can never leave the Inferno. A bright light explodes around the two poets. They turn and witness the arrival of Heaven's messenger. It wafts its hand as if to clear the air, and many souls are thrown aside under its powerful swipe. It disciplines the sinners with fury and aggression.
You dare block the gate for these travellers, you cannot resist the irresistible will of God.
With another sweeping gesture of the messenger's arm, the gate effortlessly flies open. The messenger leaves just as quickly as it arrived. The poets proceed into the city in awe. When walking through the city gate, Dante and Virgil finally entered the sixth circle. Dante describes a wide field of open flaming tombs. The tombs are different shapes and sizes, and within can be heard the screams of sinners trapped in their own personal fiery pits. Virgil explains that this is where the arch-heretics are punished. Inside these tombs are all of the leaders of heretical cults and their followers. Virgil tells Dante that there are far more of them in this circle than Dante would even think of. The pair of poets turn right and enter a secret path inside the circle. Dante asks if he can speak to one of the sinners, and Virgil responds that one will soon reveal itself to him. Virgil states,
"These tombs will be exposed until Judgment Day. The sinners within were followers of Epicurus, the Greek philosopher. Epicurus preached a doctrine that the soul died with the body, and now he and his followers suffer as the dead among the dead."
A voice calls out to Dante, recognizing his accent as Tuscan. Virgil urges Dante to go and speak with the sinner, who is now standing up in his grave. Dante immediately identifies the sinner as Farinata degli Uberti, a great political enemy. Farinata was a Ghibelline aristocrat born in 1212. He led the Ghibelline faction within Florence during Dante's earlier years. After dying in 1264, his body was exhumed and tried for heresy. The trial concluded that Farinata believed, as Epicurus believed, that the soul died within the body. Farinata asks a fearful Dante,
"Who are your ancestors?"
Our poet responds and Farinata becomes sad. The sinner recognizes that both he and Dante's family have shared very bad blood. Out of nowhere, another voice suddenly pipes up and frantically starts shouting,
Dante, where's my son?
The man turns out to be one of Dante's political allies, named Cavalcanti de Cavalcanti. Cavalcanti's son is a close friend of Dante and coincidentally another poet. The two of them were outcasted from Florence together. Dante makes no quick gesture to answer the frenzied soul, and it slumps back into its grave in grief, believing that Dante's silence confirms his son is dead. Farinata, now interrupted, continues the previous conversation as if nothing had just happened. The pair talk about why they are enemies, and the sinner questions Dante on the split between the white and black Guelph factions. Farinata subtly prophesies the Greek goddess Persephone. He uses her as a metaphor to say that Dante will have a tough time returning to Florence from exile. Dante asks Farinata why the dead can prophesize.
"We souls may see the past, and we may see the future, but never the present. When all time has run dry and there is no more future to behold, the only thing we will have left is our dismal regret of the past for all eternity."
Feeling bad about Cavalcanti not knowing about his son, Dante tells Farinata to inform Cavalcanti that his son is actually alive. After this, Dante returns to a patient Virgil, looking depressed from Farinata's prophecy. Virgil promises to Dante that the lady, Beatrice, will clear up any misgivings Dante may have about his future. That's it, thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe if you enjoyed this. There's now a Twitter page and a Facebook page if you want to keep up to date outside of YouTube, and they're in the description. If you've got any questions about this video, or if you want to talk about anything in particular to do with the Inferno in general, then feel free to put in a comment and we can talk about it. I'll see you in the next episode where we continue through Circle 6 and then move into Circle 7, Violence. Toodles!